Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the universe and Day of Judgment. You alone we worship, and to you alone we turn for help and guidance. There is no power and no strength except in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Exalted and the Almighty. Honorable scholars, respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Mahdi, and on behalf of Imam al-Mahdi Association of Marja'iyya, I would like to thank you all for joining our annual Muharram program. I would also like to thank everyone joining us live via YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. Like we have announced in previous nights, we are unfortunately unable to gather and mourn the events of Karbala like we have done so in the past due to COVID-19. We begin first by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to gather and for giving us another opportunity to take part in these holy nights of Muharram and to benefit from the teachings of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam. We also want to send our deepest condolences to awaited Savior, the 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi. May Allah hasten his reappearance. We hope and we pray that our Imam is pleased with our actions in this holy month of Muharram, inshallah. The world is waiting for justice, and justice is waiting for Imam al-Mahdi. Tonight is the 9th night of Muharram, the night where we remember the youngest child of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Ali al-Azhar alayhi salam. In Karbala, Ali Azhar was only 6 months old, but was still tormented by the pain of hunger and thirst. This is the last night for brothers to be with their sisters, the last night for sisters to be with their brothers, the last night for fathers to be with their children, the last night for little Sukaina to be with her beloved brother Ali Azhar alayhi salam and dearest father Hussein alayhi salam. Our program will start with the recitation of verses from the Holy Quran by Brother Mustafa al-Amouri. Please welcome him with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك صوت عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العلي العظيم الفاتحة الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
MashaAllah. Ahsan, Brother Mustafa. Next up, we have Suhail from North Carolina with a brief speech about Muslim ibn Hussain alayhi salam. Please welcome him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Soha, 14 years old, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. Today I will be talking about Imam Hussein's companion, Muslim bin al-Sajjad. Muslim bin al-Sajjad was from the chiefs and notables of the branch of Banu Asad. The Banu Asad were a tribe from northern Arabia who were Adnani Arabs. The Banu Asad lived in the peninsula in the Najd and Sahara deserts near water resources. Some people from Banu Asad, many those who were in Makkah at the time, were among the early Muslims such as Qais bin Abdullah al-Asadi. When the city of Kufa was built, the Banu Asad were among the first tribes who resided there. The population of Banu Asad in Kufa was so large that it was considered as the second largest tribe in the city after the Hamdan tribe. Muslim bin al-Sajjad was the companion of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who read the Prophet in his lifetime and narrated hadith from him. He was a brave warrior who is mentioned in many different battles and conquests. Muslim bin al-Sajjad was described as a brave warrior in Karbala. It is reported that while going to the battlefield, he declared to the enemy, "If you inquire me, know that I am a male lion. I am from the chiefs and notables of the branch of Banu Asad." He served the Prophet and Imam Ali, so he was about 70 years old at the Battle of Karbala. It is described that he fought ferociously against the enemies and never retreated from the fight until he fell down. When he fell down, Habib bin Mazahir came to him and said, "It is very unpleasant for me to see you smeared in mud and blood, O Muslim. May you receive the glad tidings of paradise." Then Muslim replied in a soft voice, "May your Allah give you glad tidings of fairness too." Habib said, "If I had not known that I too would have to follow your path of martyrdom and reach you, it would have been my pleasure to ask you to look to me regarding your heart's desire until I fulfill the rights of your relatives and your co-religious." Muslim replied, "My last request on you is to die protecting this master of ours." He said, pointing toward Imam Hussain alayhi salam. "Then you should ransom your life over him." Habib replied, "By the Lord of Kaaba, I shall surely do that." It was not late when he died in their hands. May Allah's mercy and blessing be upon him. The killers of Muslim bin al-Sajjad were Muslim bin Abdullah Zababi and Abdul Rahman bin Abi Kashgar Bajali. Muslim bin al-Sajjad was committed to the religion of Islam. He served the Prophet ﷺ, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Even when Imam Hussain said that they are here for me, not for you, and when people started leaving, he said, "We will never leave our Imam like this." He stayed with the Imam until he achieved martyrdom. Also, the fact that he was about 70 years old when fighting in Karbala, which shows that service should continue until our last moment of life. I learned from him to never waver in your beliefs as a Muslim and stand for the truth, and that we can valiantly in Allah's cause to the last moment.
Brother, thank you for your participation. Next up, we have Brother Muhammad Rida with a brief speech about sacrifice. Please welcome him with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوب العالمين أبا القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. I begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخيه أبا الفضل العباس زينب. قال الله في محكم كتابه المبين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة. Allah says in Surah Al-Hashr, Ayah 9, but give them preference over themselves, even though they are in privation. This is a very important ayah and relates to our topic today, which is sacrifice. Let's talk more about it. This ayah talks about altruism, which is also known as selflessness. This term is a very important term that we have to put to use in our lives. This ayah talks about the Muslims that had homes in Medina. Muslims immigrated with the Prophet from Mecca to Medina. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
As I said, this ayah talks about altruism, which is also known as selflessness. This term is a very important term and lesson that we have to put to use in our daily lives. This ayah talks about the Muslims that had homes in Medina. Muslims immigrated with the Prophet from Mecca to Medina and were tired. So the Muslims of Medina sacrificed what they had of food, clothes, and water, which are also life necessities, to give to the immigrants that came with the Prophet. Though the residents of Medina were in privation, meaning they were in poverty, they did not have these life necessities, were in need of these life necessities, they still gave what they had. These people are very altruistic people, and that proves that they are willing to do anything in order to give to other people. And these people are not just normal people. These people are the men of the Prophet, and also the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
As I said, they are willing to do anything, and most important, they are willing to sacrifice what they have. This brings me to my other point, which is sacrifice. Allah says in Surah At-Tawbah, Ayah 20, الذين آمنوا وهاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله بأموالهم وأنفسهم أعظم درجة عند الله وأولئك هم الفائزون. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The ones who have believed, immigrated, and striven in the cause of Allah with their wealth and their lives are greater in rank in the sight of Allah. And it is those who are the attainers of success. This ayah talks about jihad and sacrifice. This ayah is talking about Imam Ali alayhi salam and his fight by the Prophet. Imam Ali is one of the first to believe in the religion of Islam, and he went on from there. He gave all he had, his home, his life, his money, and everything else he had, all in the sake of Islam, all in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only to spread Islam. This is the true meaning of sacrifice. Now these two ayats relate a lot, and they relate a lot in many different ways. But before I dive deep, let me hear a salawat that is heard by Imam Ali alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Like I said, these two ayats relate a lot. Really sound similar. One of the ayat is talking about altruism, and the other one is talking about sacrifice. These two ayats relate in a lot of ways you think of, but one of the key ways they are related to is if one occurs, the other one does too. By that, I mean, if someone sacrifices something really dear to them, They did it for a reason, of course. What that reason is, he wanted to do something for someone else. He wanted to show altruism. For example, if someone gives money to the poor, they are sacrificing that money in order to give to the poor. What they could have done with that money is go buy new clothes. They could have bought a drink for them, for example, if they had little money. They could have bought some food, something that they will benefit from, materialistic objects. But instead, he gave it to the poor because he knew the poor needed it more, and he knew that he was going to benefit from it in the akhirah. Therefore, he gave it to the poor. Now, it's very important we apply this rule to our lives. I was thinking to myself, I know we have to apply this rule to our lives, but why do we have to apply this rule to our lives? I have this thing where every time some information is laid there, I ask why. So why do we have to apply this? I was shook. That is a very simple answer. And the simple answer is because our imams and prophets shared this information with us. If someone shared information with you, of course they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to deliver a message. In this case, the prophets and imams are trying to deliver the message of sacrifice and altruism. The most excellent generosity is self-sacrifice. Now, this may sound odd because he used sacrifice and generosity in one sentence and tied them together like you never really thought about it. They make sense together. But this point, we'll explain it. Selflessness can mean a lot of things, like sacrifice, as we said. But the main point that it refers to is generosity. Generosity can mean giving your life, which is sacrifice. See, all these points fit like a puzzle. If one, like I said earlier, if one occurs, the other one occurs too. I have really noticed this being done in the world recently. This has been going on as far as March as I know. The COVID-19 case is something else. These doctors and nurses are on the front line from day to night, day in and day out, sacrificing their lives just to help us. COVID is a very serious virus and it causes death, but these amazing people are willing to go in. They even have night shifts, some of them. They're sacrificing their social life. Your social life mostly happens in the nahar, in the daytime. But these people are sleeping in the day and working at night. They are sacrificing all what they have. They're also not only sacrificing their own lives, but sacrificing their families' lives. Now, some of these doctors and nurses have families, of course, and they go see their family every day, of course. So if that doctor or nurse catches that virus, their family is gonna catch it too, because this is a very fast spreading virus. It's a very dangerous situation, and these amazing people are willing to do this. The Prophet ﷺ says, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. These people would love people to do this for them, so they do the same. Treat others the way you want to be treated. This is known as a golden rule. And a golden rule is obviously very important. So therefore, we need to apply this rule to our lives. What we want to get, we have to apply it to our lives. This also reminds me of the very recent situation that happened with George Floyd's death. People of all races stood on the front line protesting for what they think is right. People knew that police could have easily called in military backup and easily ended this, but people still stood strong, and they knew what is right. They wanted equality and freedom. A black person should be treated like a white person, and same goes the other way. Now this shows that people, not only Muslims, you don't have to be Muslim in order to sacrifice. People of all races and all religions are standing on the front line, sacrificing what they have in order for what is right. A very heart-touching story that shows deep altruism. So before we dive in, I would like a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. My mother says, since the day I became a mother, my daughter has been at the heart of every decision I take. I decided to walk out of a toxic marriage to ensure my 3.5-year-old daughter, Nikita, grew up surrounded by love. The mother would do anything in order to raise her daughter the way she wants and to give her daughter the sweet life that she wants to have. She continues, I am Namita, a single mother working in the United Arab Emirates. A few years back, I went into work and lost my well-paying job in a jiffy Being jobless in a foreign country as a single mother can be one's worst nightmare. Imagine for a second with me. Imagine you're in that situation, being jobless in a foreign country. You have no one to fall back on, no relatives, no family, no friends. You don't know anyone there, but you're still trying your hardest in order to raise your loved ones. She also says, when I came home and told my daughter that we would have to move back to India as I had lost my job, she hugged me tight and said, "It's okay, Ma, we will live through this." Just listen to the trust the daughter has to her mother. She believes in her and she wants to do anything in order to please her mother. And also the mother wants to raise her daughter in love. They are willing to sacrifice for each other. She also says, when she was only 8 years old, she suddenly fell ill on her birthday, on the day of her birthday. Imagine feeling ill on the day of your birthday. Instead of presents, you get illness. The doctor said a liver transplant would be required. She was ill in her liver, so a liver transplant would be required. In most cases, it's a father's liver that requires that's a perfect match. But she says, doctors say my liver was a perfect match for Nikita. It turned out that the mother's liver was a perfect match for the my little brave heart was in hospital for 2 months and we underwent the liver transplant together. See, the mother gave what she had and the one thing she needs in order to live. This is talking about sacrificing your life, not any sacrifice like time or money. This is talking about sacrificing your life, and this mother is willing to do anything just in order to raise her daughter the right way. Listen to this line. In the last 16 years, we have been through a lot of ups and downs, but we always had each other to fall back on. They sacrifice for each other, like I said. They fall back on each other. She says over here, we always had each other to fall back on. They care more about one another than they care about themselves. She says, more than mother and daughter, we are best friends and soul sisters. Listen to how they treat each other. Usually, a daughter cares more about herself than she cares about her mother. But in this case, they care more about each other than another. A mother usually takes care of the raising business and all the taking care of business. But in this case, they take care of each other, and like she said earlier, they have each other to fall back on. This is very heart-touching, and a mother is willing to do anything for her loved ones, even if it means taking her life. Take the simplest example. I was thinking, would someone work 24 hours and not get paid? Just think about that. 24 hours a day, and you're not getting paid not 1 cent. Well, I mean, if I was in that situation, certainly I wouldn't do it. That's exactly what your parents do. Your parents work 24 hours a day and not get paid 1 cent. Your mother cleans, cooks, and takes care of you 24 hours a day. Does she ask for money? Same thing with your father. He works for you. He provides money. It's true that he earns the money, but what does he use it on? He uses it on his children, of course. He puts it into his children. He invests into his children. He saves you for the future. Therefore, you have to always respect your parents. Respecting your parents has the biggest benefits in this world and in the hereafter. The Prophet ﷺ says, when your parents are pleased, Allah is pleased. And it makes me happy that parents care about their children like this. They're willing to sacrifice their lives, they're willing to sacrifice their time, their money, just in order for their children. Some parents go out far ways just in order to provide education for their children and in order to look out for their futures. Now, in my opinion, these parents deserve a lot of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A Florida shooting happened a few years back, if you guys remember. When the shooter went in and killed about 15 students, he went into the gym, and a gym teacher, of course, this was in the middle of the day. They had gym class. He went into the gym and he wanted to shoot everyone. The gym teacher collected all of the students and hit them. He stood in front of the students and said, "Take my life, don't take these students' life." He stood in front of them and he wanted to sacrifice his life just in order for these students. Now, of course, he doesn't know these students like how we know our families or how we know our friends, but he still is willing to sacrifice for these people. Now, you might ask, why would he do that? Why would he sacrifice his life in order for people he doesn't really know that well? Simple answer is to save the future. He knows that these students are the future. He was a gym teacher, of course. So in his mind, probably he was thinking these students are going to be future athletes or something of that sort. Now, this guy is no Muslim. Like I said, you don't have to be Muslim in order to sacrifice these large sacrifices. People are willing to do anything, just like the George Floyd situation. People are willing to do anything, of all races, of all religions. They stood on the front line knowing what is right, and they protested for what is right. Now, saying all these examples inspire me to sacrifice. When I wrote this, I was thinking to myself, at my age, at our age, the youth, around my age, how can we sacrifice our daily lives? Of course, we're not gonna get the ability to make this ultimate sacrifice of our lives. But I was thinking, how can we sacrifice in our daily lives? I was thinking, and this is what I came up with. I have siblings, and these siblings are also human too. They have fitrah. They need love and attention like every other human. Without love and attention, a person can go into a state of depression or loneliness. Now, as I was saying, siblings need love and attention. What I can do is sit with them for 30 minutes a week and see what they have to say and see what they want. These humans, siblings, they have stuff packed into their chest that they have no one to talk to. So the best thing you could do is take 30 minutes out of your week, not more, not less. 30 minutes, it's not very much, to sit with them and see what they have to say. This prevents depression and loneliness. We have 24 hours a day, and that's plenty, and 168 hours a week. That's more than enough for you to sacrifice time, which is 30 minutes out of your week, just to sit with your siblings and prevent this depression or prevent this disease. Depression has now become a disease. Depression rates are going higher. This is the one reason why people go into depression. No one cares about them. They don't have enough love and attention, and they don't have the parents that are willing to sacrifice, like the mother I talked about in the story, or the gym teacher I talked about. They don't have these people, and they also don't have the siblings that take care of them. The least we could do is sit with our siblings or our family members. They don't even have to be siblings. You can talk with your best friends. Like all jokes, like you guys put all jokes aside and just talk about what's going on in your personal life. Of course, that's if they are willing to share with you. That's all you have to do. That's considered sacrifice, and Allah will reward you a great reward. As I said, they don't need love and attention. Therefore, we need to sit with one another and save each other from what now is known as a disease, depression. Now, another way to sacrifice is to sacrifice also your time, not to sit with your siblings, to volunteer for people that are in need or orphans. Now, these people you don't know, but of course they're in need. You would, like I said earlier, a golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. If you were in poverty, of course you would want someone to help you. Therefore, we need to take this time out of our life in order to volunteer and help people in need. You can work like an hour or two a day in a foundation that goes to help people of the community or help with funding orphans. This is all sacrifice. You're sacrificing your time of fun and games just to help people out. Now, I'll give one more example and I'll end with this. This is more of a long-term sacrifice, if you were to call it. This is sacrificing your time now to study for your future. You can study in school, for example, or in housing, or anything related to what you're interested in doing into your future. This can help you greatly in your future to help your parents out, give money to the orphans. Now, of course, this brings me to my other point, which you don't also have to, money is another thing you can sacrifice. Time is one thing, money is another. Like I said, us youth at this age, we can't sacrifice our lives because we're still very young. So we have these two things that I've mentioned so far that we can sacrifice: money and time. It's not very much. Money comes and goes, so might as well spend it in this world. You're not going to take money with you in the grave, and you're not going to spend it in the hereafter. It's not really going to help you in the hereafter unless you put that money into helping people like orphans. There are many ways to sacrifice, of course, and to practice altruism, but these are just some examples that you and I could do at this age. Some people will do anything to help others, even if it means harming themselves or even death. And that is exactly what Imam Hussain alayhi salam and the companions did. They sacrificed their homes, their children, and themselves, all to save us, to save Islam. Allah says in Surah At-Tawbah, I mentioned this ayah earlier, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَهَاجَرُوا وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ أَعْظَمُ دَرَجَةً عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَائِزُونَ. This says that people believed, amanu, in what is right, which is staying by the Imam Hussain alayhi salam. They gave up homes, hajaru, they immigrated. And the Imam and his companions came from Makkah and wanted to go to Kufa, but they got stopped in Karbala by Karbala. And that's for, we already talked about that in the previous nights. And it says they fought, jahadu, in the sake of Allah, and fought with their wealth, and themselves are the highest appreciated. Imam Hussain and his companions did all this. Now this is a very deep question I was talking about. Why didn't Imam Hussain sacrifice first and be the first to die? Why did he go to battle last? Very deep question, but a very simple answer. This answer is the great companions that are willing to sacrifice anything, they wanted to go first. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, the night before the 10th of Muharram, he said, it's night now, you guys can go. They want me, they don't want you guys. But they said they wanted to stay with what is right. Like I mentioned in the George Floyd situation, they stood for what is right, and over here they're standing for what is right. Imam Hussain and his companions stood for what is right. They were an army of 72 and they're an army of about 30,000. Look at the difference here. Would you have the heart to stand there in front of 30,000 men knowing you're gonna die? It's a very big risk and it requires sacrifice. They wanted to go first and they wanted to keep the Imam alive. They did this because they knew they were going to get something bigger in the hereafter, which is heaven. After everything went away from Abu Abdullah, all his companions and his family, he had one thing left. His 6-month-old son Abdullah al-Rabi'. He raised him to the sky. I'll leave the rest for the night. I'm not going to go very, very deep because this is a very deep story. And all he sees is a newborn baby getting killed, 6-month-old. That's not very much. It was in this world 6 months. And after that, Imam Hussain alayhi salam had no choice but to leave all his family and all his friends and all his belongings and go to death, go to battle. They slaughtered him and they are happy about it. They had no regret. Imagine slaughtering, imagine killing the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Imagine killing someone that is in higher rank than you, that is in high rank in the sight of Allah. Keep in mind, this wasn't just a physical war, but it was an ideological war. The enemies won physically, but the Imam alayhi salam won ideologically. They did all of this and they had no regret. The least we could do is remember what they did for us and commemorate what they did. Tonight is where all the events start occurring. Take our hearts to Karbala and the night. Now we want to commemorate Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and this is exactly what we're doing here. A virus will not stop us and should not stop us from coming together and commemorating what the Imam had of a great sacrifice. Him and his family, what they did for us, it should not be forgotten and will not be forgotten. Even though a humongous virus comes and attacks everyone, we should still be holding majalis, even though it is a very small amount of people, even though if it's in your home. A virus or anything shouldn't stop you from attending majalis and performing majalis. We will stay strong against this virus, and inshallah, Allah and Ahlul Bayt will get us through it. Assalamu ala al-Hussain wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain wa ala awlad al-Hussain wa ala ashab al-Hussain wa ala akhiha bil-Fadl Abbas wa ala ukhtihi Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد.
صل على محمد وآل محمد. Ahsan, Brother Muhammad, very compelling speech. Next up, we have Muhammad Ali al-Mudaffar with the Majlis Azab and Muhammad Rida al-Mudaffar with Thana'i. Please welcome them with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. نور مجالس أخباركم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. ثانيا غفر الله لكم. ثالثا لتعجيل مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان بأعلى أصواتكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصاب سيدي ومولاي أبا عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام. صلى الله عليك سيدي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك سيدي ومولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. The night of the 10th of Muharram was a night of worship. You will find that in every single one of the tents on the plains of Karbala, you will see everyone reciting the Holy Quran. Why? Because everyone knew what their fate was going to be on the plains of Karbala. And on this night, when we mourn and remember the tragedies of Karbala, we remember the 6-month-old Asghar, also referred to as Abdullah or Radi' or Ali. So we remember the 6-month-old Asghar, the son of Rabab and Aba Abdullah al-Hussain alayhim salam. What exactly happened with the 6-month-old Asghar on the plains of Karbala? The Asghar should be and is in the hearts of every single mother. If Moses' mother broke down when her baby was away from her for a few moments, imagine Rabab when she was away from her son Asghar. And if Hajar broke down looking for water for her son Ismail, where was the Zamzam for Asghar? How Rabab wished the Zamzam water could be next to her to quench the thirst of Asghar. That's something that we all think about, and she was thinking about. So Aba Abdullah came out with his son Asghar. He looked towards the army of Umar ibn Sa'd. It was not a cause of failure, which is infallible. It wasn't a cause of who is stronger physically. It was a cause of the difference between disbelief and faith. It was for the difference between falsehood and truth, between hypocrisy and peace, and between justice and injustice. And we all know here neither justice and injustice was. Of course, justice was with Abu Abdullah. Injustice was made on the plains of Karbala on the 10th of Muharram. I urge you all to listen to the maqtal, listen to the tragedies that happened on the plains of Karbala. Tomorrow they'll be recited everywhere. You guys can figure that out, inshallah. So again, this was a fight between justice and injustice. He looked at the army of Umar ibn Sa'd and said, if you want to kill me, then go ahead and kill me. But what has this 6-month-old done to you? What has he done wrong? Surely you have a conscience, O army of Umar ibn Sa'd. Surely you are not going to do what you guys think are going to do. Some of Umar ibn Sa'd's army thought about what Abu Abdullah said, and so they thought to themselves, shall we? Shall we not? But the army of Umar ibn Sa'd highlighted that they were submerged in disbelief, and that the devil, the shaitan, has taken over them. There was no going back. Only one person from the army went to the side of Abu Abdullah Hussain, that was Hurr. Abu Abdullah placed Asghar on the ground because no one listened to him. And he said, one of you, please come and give water to this baby. I am going to walk away. I will not fight, nor will I get in your way. Again, they thought to themselves and between each other, shall we? Shall we not? Abu Abdullah took Asghar back, and he noticed now that there wasn't even any crying from Asghar anymore. Abu Abdullah held Asghar in his hands. He looked towards them. He asked them once again to quench the thirst of Asghar. Umar ibn Sa'd turned to who? He turned to Harmala bin Kahil and said, I want you to finish Hussein now. Get rid of that baby. Harmala bin Kahil met with Mukhtar al-Thaqafi 5 years after Karbala. Where was Mukhtar al-Thaqafi? We mentioned on the night of the 5th. Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, along with others, were imprisoned. And then the others were killed, and others fled, and the others were paid off by Yazid. So Harmala met with Mukhtar al-Thaqafi 5 years after Karbala, and Mukhtar asked him, Harmala, how many arrows did you shoot on the 10th of Muharram? Take your hearts now. Take your hearts to Karbala. Take your hearts to those arrows that were shot by Harmala on the plains of Karbala. He asked him, Harmala, how many arrows did you shoot on the 10th of Muharram? Harmala said, I shot 7 arrows at the army of Abu Abdullah on the 10th of Muharram, but only 4 of them hit the target. Mukhtar looked towards Harmala and said to him, tell me about each of those 4 arrows. Tell me who they hit. Harmala said, the first arrow I shot was on the right eye of al-Fadl when he was on his horse. Allahu Akbar. After he was shot in the chest, and then Harmala shot him in the eye, al-Fadl fell to the ground with no hands to catch him. Mukhtar then said, how about the second arrow? Harmala said, the second arrow I shot on the chest of Abdullah, the nephew of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Because remember, Imam al-Hassan had a son named Abdullah. Abdullah was one of the 7 sons that were there on the plains of Karbala and sacrificed their lives for Abu Abdullah. Among them was who? Was Qasim, son of Hassan. Abu Abdullah on the 10th of Muharram, what happened with him? On the 10th of Muharram, Abu Abdullah was laying on the ground, arrows all over his body, right? As Umar ibn Sa'd's army was about to kill Abu Abdullah, his nephew Abdullah, son of Imam al-Hassan, came running out towards the plains of Karbala. Sayyidah Zainab called out, oh Abdullah, come back, where are you going? Look at the response of Abdullah. Abdullah says, Aunt Zainab, how can I come back to you when my uncle Abu Abdullah is on the plains of Karbala alone with arrows all over his body? Harmala then continued. He said, I saw that boy Abdullah sits by Abu Abdullah's chest. I wanted to shoot Abu Abdullah, but I ended up shooting the boy on his chest. Allahu Akbar. Mukhtar then said, Harmala, tell me about the 3rd arrow. Harmala said, the 3rd arrow hurts me until now. Imagine, Harmala affected by the arrow that he shot. Harmala said, the third arrow hurts me until now. The third arrow I shot on the neck of the 6-month-old Asghar. I shot on the 6-month-old Asghar, the baby. I saw the baby flap its hands like a bird flaps its wings. Allahu Akbar. Where's the fourth arrow then? Mukhtar then said, Harmala, tell me about the fourth arrow. Harmala said, the fourth arrow I shot on the chest of Aba Abdullah on the 10th of Muharram. Allahu Akbar. When Aba Abdullah had had him in the skies in his hands, Harmala shot the arrow on the neck of Asghar. And when Asghar was killed in the arms of his father Aba Abdullah, he looked to the heavens and said, what has befallen me is only ease because it is in your eyes, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore we take what? We take that Aba Abdullah sacrificed his life. As they were mentioning in the lectures, they sacrificed their lives for Aba Abdullah for the sake of who? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So imagine how hard it was for Aba Abdullah to see his 6-month-old being struck in the neck with an army of Abdullah saw Asghar flap his hand like birds flap their wings. Abu Abdullah started to walk back and forth several times. Who called out to him? They called out to him, to Abu Abdullah. Sukaina called out to him. She says, Father, what's wrong? Why are you walking back and forth? Abu Abdullah told her, I don't know how to tell a mother that her baby's neck has been shot at by an arrow. I don't know how to tell his mother that her son, the 6-month-old Asghar, has just died. Abu Abdullah then came and he buried Asghar in the ground. Rabab thought it would be it. On the night of the 11th of Muharram, Sayyidah Zainab was looking around for Rabab. Sayyidah Zainab said, I saw Rabab walking between the bodies on the plains of Karbala. Sayyidah Zainab then said, Rabab, what's wrong? Rabab said, I am looking for my Asghar. I want to quench his thirst. Little does she know that he is with his grandfather, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen is going to quench his thirst. So on the 11th of Muharram, before they left to Kufa, Umar ibn Sa'ad said to his army, go and dig your spears into the ground. Make sure everyone is dead. What kind of tyranny is this? What is going on in Rabab's heart when she sees her baby on the spear? Rabab cried for her Asghar in Karbala, and she cried for her Asghar in Kufa, and she cried for her Asghar in Sham, and she was still crying for her Asghar when they returned back to where? When they returned back to Karbala. The narrations mentioned that Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salam buried Asghar when they returned to Karbala, of course, along with everyone else. He found the head of his father, Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, and he put the body together. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that moment gave a miracle to Abu Abdullah. The miracle was what? The miracle was that the Imam can speak to another Imam while being martyred. Imam As-Sajjad placed the head on the body of Abu Abdullah. He then heard a voice from the head of Abu Abdullah saying what? Saying, the baby. I beg you, put the baby on my chest and place his neck on my neck. Don't you know, my son Ali, that the heat of the arrow hurts me? Till now it hurts him, till he was going to be buried. And then Imam As-Sajjad placed the baby on the chest of Abu Abdullah, a sigh of relief for Abu Abdullah, and he placed Ayn Akbar by the feet of Abu Abdullah, and he buried them. And when he buried them, he sat by the grave, and he read the Quran, and he just sat by Abu Abdullah. So now we're going to take our hearts where I want to take you to the 10th of Muharram. Let your minds and your hearts and your feelings go with Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam as she bids farewell to who? As she bids farewell to everyone. Oh, nights, prolong your hours Oh, night, don't hurt my flowers. Tomorrow they'll be slain. No Abbas and Hussein. If you only knew who am I. Whoosh. I am the mother of sorrow. From the time I lost my mother, without her lips no tomorrow. When the sunrise will be shining, I will count how many arrows. An arrow piercing the banner, another slaughtering Azram. The hardest one will be where? The hardest one will plant itself in the heart of son of Haidar. Oh, night, don't let the sun rise. His head will be Yazid's prize. Oh, night, don't let the sun rise. His head will be Yazid's prize. Tomorrow they'll be slain. No Abbas and Hussein. Oh, night, when your sun will rise, I will lose Qasim and Akbar. I will see Abbas, my brother. I will see Abbas, my brother, fall without hands near the river. I will see blood in Hussein's hand. The blood of who? The blood of my nephew Azram. His blood will be thrown to the skies. From heavens we will hear her cries. Whose cries? The cries of my mother Zahra. Seeing tears drop from Hussein's eyes. Oh, night, have mercy on me from what my eyes will then see. Oh, night, have mercy on me from what my eyes will then see. Tomorrow they'll be slain. No Abbas Hussein.
يا للطويل ساعاتك يا ليل آهاتك يا ليل طويل ساعاتك يا ليل لو ودعتي لو ودعتي يا ليل طويل ساعاتك ساعاتك لو ودعت الأيام تتولى عني طول يا ليل الوداع إيش ما تطول وياك ساهر ما من البواكي حتى لو تعمل نواضي حسين بس هالليلة يمي ما تشوف عيوني باكي صدقني يا ريتك يطول خايفة من أشباح القدر وخاف أظل مكسورة خاطري يا ليل ارحم دلالي يا ليل ضاعت أموالي يا داهري الأكوان تتولى عني الرضوان يا ليل يا ليل طول ساعة ليل يحمل يا ليل يا ليل يا ليل يحمل آهاتك لو ودعت الدنيا تتولى عني الدعاء أنا يا ليل العقيدة زينب المحروم فخدري طولي ما واحد شافه ولا ستري وصلي ستري لجن يا ليل شبديه سلمت القدر أمري دمعاتي بسلب الجيفة من يضر مصباح الفيزة فأطفال وبعلم تيفة والله ما ينفي صبري يا ليل كافي تروحني يا ليل صبحك يفجعني دونك سلولي الودان تتولى يا ليل يا ليل جواب يا ليل يا ليل يا ليل طول ساعاتك يا ليل حميد آهاتك يا ليل يا ليل ساعاتك لو ودعت الويا كل ما نتحنى وليها تهيل دمع الحزن يمه وسكنا الحسين ابو اليمه راحتي بلفت شمه وليالي الأكبر ولده وتفوقت صيح ورملة وجاسم قاعدة تظفر عودة ناشدة ديني الوالدة ولي صدر قامتي تضم تشاون يا وليدي الشمعة جسام شو صارت دمعة فقدك تتولى يا لي نطول ساعتك يا لي نطول يا ليل يا ليل حميد تتولاني الرجوع لو ودعتي الويا تتولاني يا حال الرضا الحنة النوي قربت تعاين العبد وطير الجنة طير الجنة نايم فوق ايديه يفيز لو راجعتي ترفع من روحي ترثيتي متينها تبينها خافواتي في سلورة ضعت قامت تصيد رقبته طاحت وفقدت وعيته شالي شبي ذبحونه سباح قلبي يقطعونه جيت لهم عطشان تتولاني العدوان يا ليل يا ليل طول ساعاتك يا ليل حميل آهاتك لو ودعتي الوليان تتولاني العدوان تتولاني العدوان صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Next up, we have Mustafa al-Fayyad with the Ziyara and Latmiya. Please welcome him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
نوروا قلوبكم بذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
يا زينب جينا نعزيك، يا زينب بالغريب أخيك، يا زينب مظلوم حسينا، وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه. يا زينب جينا نعزيك، يا زينب بالغريب أخيك، يا زينب مظلوم حسينا، وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه. يا زينب غريبا قد قضى ثلاثا بالعراء بقى، يا زينب مظلوم حسينا، وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه. يا زينب لو كنت تريه والرضيع بين يديه، يا زينب مظلوم حسينا، وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه. يا زينب كفيلك بلا كفور مرميا فوق الضائر الطفور، يا زينب
حسينا
وويلاه
وويلاه وويلاه.
يا زينب غريبا قد قضى ثلاثا بالعراء بقى، يا زينب مظلوم حسينا، وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه. يا زينب لو كنت تريه والرضيع بين يديه، يا زينب
حسينا وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه.
يا زينب جينا نعزيك، يا زينب بالغريب أخيك، يا زينب مظلوم حسينا، وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه. يا زينب جينا نعزيك، يا زينب بالغريب أخيك، يا زينب مظلوم حسينا، وويلاه وويلاه وويلاه. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. زيارة الإمام الحسين. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله، السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله، السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كريم الله، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله، السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام، السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى، السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله إني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سر وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صل على محمد وآل محمد.
That will conclude our program for tonight. Thank you everyone for your cooperation. We will see you tomorrow, inshallah.